Hey everybody, today is Sunday, May 6th, 2018. In this video, I want to talk about yesterday's Kentucky Derby. And actually, this video is going to be just as much about the numerology of horse racing in general, just as much as it is about yesterday's race, which was the 144th of all time. So the winner of the 144th Kentucky Derby was a horse named Justify. Now, using the alphabetic order, Justify sums to 110, just like the state of Kentucky, where the Derby is held. Now, if you're wondering what I'm looking at, this is the language of Gematria, the ancient Babylonian, Greek, and Jewish practice of coding numbers into words. It's a very simple practice. You simply number the alphabet 1 through 26. You can also do this to the reverse alphabetic order, where Z is 1, A is 26, and then both methods can be reduced to a single digit. This is called Pythagorean gematria, where the digits are added together until there's just one digit remaining. Now, these base 4 ciphers are significant. You may see more than one alignment sometimes, as this is the case with Justify and Kentucky, who have 3 matching numbers. As I switch between them, you can see 110, 29, and 43. There's also a couple of more ciphers in Gematria that produce larger numbers, the first one being Jewish Gematria. This is based on the ancient Latin alphabetic order, where the more modern characters are placed at the end. This is a much, much older form of Gematria. Now, using this method, horse racing sums to 373. And the reason this sticks out is because the name of the horse, Justify, using prime numbers, also sums to 373. Now, this prime number cipher simply uses the alphabetic order and then the associated prime numbers with each number. So, for instance, this 4th prime number is 7, so D gets the value of 7. And this is another very significant form of Gematria, one of the base ciphers, even going back to ancient Hebrew Gematria. So we'll poke around at that one here and there, but this video is going to be mainly based on these base 4 ciphers, as well as Jewish and English. Now, 373, which I'll show you right here, this is the 74th prime number. 373, the 74th prime. So it's appropriate that this race is held in Churchill Downs, which sums to 74 using the reverse reduction method. Now, what's more interesting about Churchill Downs is this 169 in English ordinal. These 2 ciphers right here, by the way, English ordinal and Jewish, I kind of believe that these are the 2 most significant. Of course, these other ones next to it, also very important. But 169 is significant because this is 13 squared. And 13 is just an incredibly significant number to the sport of horse racing, as I'll get into as this video goes on. But first, I want to explain why this year's Kentucky Derby had a special numeric tribute in the first place. And it's why I believe this may be hinting at the fact that Justify could be another Triple Crown winner this year. So, the Kentucky Derby, let's just type this out here. See how in the full reduction method, the Kentucky Derby sums to 71. And this matches the gematria of the city it's held in, Louisville, Kentucky, which equals 71. Now think about how this particular race was on the date May 5th, 5/5 right there. But looking back at the 71, this is one of just 2 numbers that, when using the alphabetic order, sums to 144. And this year happens to be the 144th running of the Kentucky Derby. Now, I just mentioned how I think ordinal and Jewish are the 2 most significant ciphers, and I just realized this while making the video. I don't even have this on the post. But the Kentucky Derby equals 71. 71 equals 1,435 down here in Jewish Gematria. And Churchill Downs equals 1,435. How about that? So there's definitely something to that link. And we'll look more at the link between English and Jewish when we talk about Bob Baffert here. So first of all, just the city of Louisville itself in English ordinal sums to 136. And this is kind of an interesting number, right? You have 13 right here, and then you have the number 6. So we often talk about how significant 47 is. Well, you have a prime number relationship right there because 7 is the 4th prime. Well, 13 is the 6th prime number. So, another significant relationship. And when you look at the details of the race, you find that this was the first horse in 136 years to win a Kentucky Derby without having raced as a 2-year-old. So that's all pretty interesting. You got that 136 connection. Well, check out the name of the owner of this horse. This guy is named Bob Baffert. And here's his Wikipedia page. You'll see his name is actually Robert Baffert, Bob short for Robert, as it is with most people. And Robert Baffert has English ordinal gematria also of 136. Now, there's some interesting things about this guy. We're going to start talking about how the number 13 is important to horse racing, and this guy encompasses the number 13 in many ways. So first of all, he's 65 years old this year. The word horse equals 65 in the alphabetic order. He was born on January 13th, 1953. So you can see right there, he was born on the 13th day of the year. And if you add up the digits of his birthday, 1 plus 1 plus 3, plus 5 plus 3, you get the number 13. Now, the 13th prime number is 41. Both the name Bob Baffert, as seen in standard reduction, and his last name alone, Baffert, in the reverse method, both summing to 41. There's another very significant form of extended gematria, English extended. This is a lot like that Jewish method, but based on the present day English alphabetic order, 1 through 9, 10 through 90, 100 through 900. And using this method, the name Baffert sums to 310. Well, in prime numbers, 13 equals 310. See that? Just piling the connections on top of one another. It's never just one thing usually. So if you measure from his birthday on January 13, written 113, you find that he was in his 113th day of being 65 years old. But more significant is his total age on the date of the race. So you'll see he was born January 13th, 1953. From January 13th, 1953 to the date of the race, you'll find he was 3,407 weeks old. And I always talk about this 3-4-7 sequence. In gematria, the number 13 sums to 347. And the reason I think that this might be a year for the Triple Crown for Bob Baffert, Triple Crown has gematria of 1,347, a lot like his age. And then in the reverse alphabetic order, Triple Crown equals 63. Or I'm sorry, 144. And this was the 144th running of the race. The reason I accidentally said 63 is because this stands out for a different reason. 63 standard and full reduction. Horse racing also 63 standard and full reduction. And the Triple Crown, the prize jewel of horse racing. So what an interesting geometric connection. Now looking back at the number 13, the word horse in Latin gematria sums to 233, which is the 13th Fibonacci number. This is another very significant sequence in this study, in addition to primes and triangulars as well. 13, this is a number that's associated with the moon. both have gematria of 99. Think about how the moon begins with M, the 13th letter. We occasionally get 13 full moons in a calendar year. In reduction, 13 sums to 45. And check out the 45th prime number. We have this 197. And the biggest race in horse racing is the Kentucky Derby, which sums to 197 using the alphabetic order. As far as horse racing, you'll also see that this sums to 117, just like the word 13 in reverse, right? So there's just many connections here. But now we're going to look more closely at the connections with 13 and the moon. So the Kentucky Derby, in the reverse alphabetic order, equals 235. And this is a very significant number. If you look up the Metonic cycle, this is a period of 19 years, which syncs up with 235 lunar months. So that means every 19 years, the moon is in the same spot in the sky in the same phase. And when we're looking at the gematria of horse racing, just check out English extended gematria. We see the number 423, and this is the exact same value as the moon, 423, in the same method. So all these numbers of the moon connecting with horse racing. In fact, this Metonic cycle, 19 years, 235 lunar months. When you add these two numbers together, you get 254. And in English gematria, the word time equals 254. And again, the Metonic cycle, perhaps the most significant cycle of time. And I hope you notice in Jewish gematria, the word time equals 144. Once again, this being the 144th running of the Kentucky Derby. And check this out. The name of the trainer, Bob Baffert, Jewish gematria of 254. And you can even take this a step further. Personally, I don't think this is coincidental because I've seen this work too many times. Racehorse trainer Bob Baffert equals 254 in the alphabetic order. So multiple connections for this man directly to the number 254. Also, check out his 448 in the reverse alphabetic order. Ancient accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry sums to 448 ordinal. There's a few more interesting things. Oh, one more thing I wanted to point out about the Triple Crown. So we have the Kentucky Derby. That's the first race you have to win. And then you have to win the Preakness and the Belmont, right? So the number 33, this is another moon number. There's a 33-year moon cycle. Every 33 years, you have to add 1 year to a lunar calendar, or 12 lunar months, in order to sync them up. Anyway, the number 33, when written out, sums to 156 and 141 reverse. And then the next two races are the Preakness, 141, and the Belmont, which is 156 in the reverse method. And this man, Bob Baffert, is also heavily coded with 33. His full name is Rob A. Baffert. That's just his middle initial, just an A there, right? Which sums to 137 ordinal, 137 being the 33rd prime number. And we saw how 33 sums to 156. Well, if you take his full name and his nickname, and again, if you're thinking this is coincidental, I absolutely don't believe so. This is how a lot of these people are coded. And when I say coded, I mean, hey, their parents are probably aware of this knowledge that I'm sharing, and they're implementing it into their own family, right? So Robert A. Bob Baffert equals 156. And then if that's not enough, you have a 33 in the reverse order. Just drop that 0, as we do in numerology. You get 33. His name also 105, reverse reduction, Masonry 105. Again, this knowledge supposedly, or supposed to be, exclusive to Masonry and other secret societies. Back Baffert was 3 months and 22 days after his birthday on the date of this race. Racehorse equals 322. Another thing I wanted to point out about the Triple Crown, the number 33 summing to 141. It was the 141st running of the Kentucky Derby 3 years ago that launched American Pharoah's rise to the Triple Crown that year. And here we're in the 144th. So there's definitely some connections there. So let's look at the gematria of American Pharoah, the horse that won that Triple Crown. See how it sums to 77 in reduction, and then you have 131 alphabetic order. Well, Bob Baffert equals 77 ordinal, and then the name Baffert sums to 131, so he shared two numbers with that horse that won the Triple Crown. On top of that, his birth numerology, January 13th, 1953, these numbers can sum to 77. And he was born in Nogales, Arizona, which sums to 77. And as far as the name of this city, Nogales, Arizona, 157, this is the 37th prime number. So you'll see the relationship right there, 157 to 37th prime. The Triple Crown that American Pharoah won was the first Triple Crown in 37 years. And on top of that, Nogales equals, or what is it? Nogales, Arizona, AZ, sums to 37 in reduction, right? Also, American Pharoah sums to 377 in Jewish gematria. This is another Fibonacci number. I just mentioned how significant these are. And, think about the 37-year streak with no Triple Crown winners ended. You often see 14 as a number that ends streaks. And just think about it. The word end equals 14. So does the word dead, 14. In fact, I was just checking out the Brewer game yesterday, and Josh Hader had a team record. 14 straight outs were recorded by strikeout. 14 in a row, and then he finally gave up a ground ball, and his streak ended at 14. You see a lot of streaks end at 14 for that very reason. So the American Pharoah, he won the first Triple Crown since 1978. Noteworthy that the Triple Crown equals 78. In fact, the word triple equals 37. Remember, 37 years between Triple Crown wins. The word crown even equals 73, the inverse, right? And this is all related to the moon. So we're in the year 2018. In Hebrew gematria, the word moon summing to 218. So this could be a year that we see this, a Triple Crown. And, again, a 37-year gap. 37 equals 57 in reduction. The word moon summing to 57 ordinal. 37 years also has a couple of connections to 13. You have 233, which is the 13th Fibonacci. And then you have 91, which is the 13th triangular number. So good reason for it to be a 37-year gap. Now, the reason I mentioned the moon again is because, consider that the horse racing equals the moon in gematria. 423. Then we get 423. And this is all an allegory for a solar eclipse. This is what the occult is very fond of, and this is what they, wrap their rituals around. So this event was 257 days after the Great American Total Solar Eclipse. Check this out, 257 days. From August 21st last year to May 5th of this year. And 257 is the gematria of total solar eclipse. 257, reverse alphabetic order, and 257 is the 55th prime number. 55, a lot like the date 5/5, May 5th. So this is absolutely, related to the total solar eclipse. It's ridiculous to think it's not, in fact. And let me show you something interesting. So solar eclipse equals 503 using English extended. Now, this man, Bob Baffert, was born in the year 53, right? Solar eclipse also something to 53 in reduction. And the 3 races you have to win in order to win the Triple Crown: Kentucky Derby, Preakness Stakes, Belmont Stakes. Look at this. It sums to 503 using the alphabetic order. This man born in 53. And then even look at this. The city that he was from, Nogales, Arizona, 503 in primes. Are these coincidences? There's just no way. And then even open trigonal gematria. And look at this, 1331, the number that represents a total solar eclipse, which I demonstrate at great length in this post here, discussing 133, 331, and how they can combine. It has everything to do with these eclipses. So, I don't know what else to say. You know, I've been saying on my podcast and in my videos that May 5th we would see a big total solar eclipse ritual. I thought maybe we'd see another sacrifice. Remember, I called the date April 20th for one last month, and we had the death of a VC on that date. But it seems like this was just played out through sports. You had, the night before, you had Albert Pujols getting his 3,000th hit just around midnight, and it was definitely May 5th Universal Time. You had that happen the same night as the LA Dodgers threw a no-hitter. So I'll link that video down below. That was definitely an eclipse-related ritual. Just think about how Pujols equals 93, just like the sun is 93 million miles away. So there was something to that as well. So I'll leave that there. Hopefully you guys learned something in this video. If you bet on horse races, I mean, my gut tells me that, you know, they're at least going to have this horse win a second race to threaten the Triple Crown. I don't know if they're really going to win it, but, you know, just look at these alignments that I've shown you, and I guess decide for yourself and, you know, make the call on your own terms. So I don't bet on this stuff because, I mean, I see what's happening, but as far as calling it out ahead of time, I leave that to the pros. So that'll do it for this video, Truth Seeker. Thanks for watching, and God bless.